5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, my Richies, and welcome back to another episode of the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. My name is Sara. I'm your host. And in today's episode, we are discussing why having it all isn't all it's cracked up to be. There is such freedom in accepting your humble place in the world and learning to enjoy it. And I, for one, find myself smack dab in the middle of that journey, which led to today's episode. As a publicist, I've certainly had my share of brushes with fame and have a rather deep knowledge of the entertainment world and reality television. And over the years of working with various individuals within all sides of production for fame, entertainment, celebrities, there is just such an underpinning of sadness and grief and almost a trading of what really matters for superficial things in order to achieve the status that individuals that you come to know because of fame. And it's not really something that's talked about. And I found myself falling into the trap of wanting fame and wanting to be known and wanting to have the accolades of being noticed and praised for your skill sets or your passion or just existing, depending on where you find yourself on the fame scale. And I remember scrolling through social media just last year, and, I've been in the entertainment world for 16 years now, and there is a certain something to be said for being able to follow people throughout that time period of the various projects you've worked on and, production assistants and editors and people you've just been able to work with over the course of a career. And I can say with certainty that they have it all, but it's not enough. They're quite literally miserable. They are grieved with the thoughts of what is life really about? I have everything I thought I ever wanted, and I'm still deeply unfulfilled. And I think for me, there was a moment when I realized that my vision of having it all was actually going to be a prison. And if I actually achieved it, it would be something I would grow to hate immediately. And it took that idea being planted at a moment of success for me in my life where I recognized ooh, you might want to be careful what you wish for here, because I don't really think this is something I want. Early on in my podcasting career, this is my second show. I had a show about 7 years ago called Immutable Mutineers. And I was very inspired to start that podcast because of the mentor in my head, Ed Milet. He has a show called The Ed Milet Show. I'm obsessed with it. Obsessed with him, my fellow Taurus brother. He just so beautifully shows you what really matters in life. And throughout the time frame of listening to his show over the years, there was most certainly a change within Ed that was palpable. And that change was that the more he achieved in financial and business acumen and success and just stacking the paper, getting that cash, the man is worth $500+ million. He realized how unfulfilled he was. And in hearing this, midway through, it was probably episode 300, 400 of listening to Ed Milet, my mentor in my head, my best friend, I come to hear him say out loud that all the things he has, which were things that I was reaching for, I wanted to be picked up by a network. I want to have books. I want to have all the things that he has within his business portfolio. And to hear and see that someone I admired so much was literally quite willing to throw away all of it, no longer be involved in it, literally took off social media and really hasn't returned back to since, has kind of labored that off to an employee. And he has never been happier. And what brought him to this moment was his health suffering. And all the money in the world couldn't make his health better. He needed rest. He needed to take a break from the things that he had prioritized over his health, which was business, and which was hours and hours of time on social media. If you saw our last episode, episode 300, it was about digital detoxing and the amount of time I realized I'd be saving by not going on my phone every day at the same pace that I had been. It's just these inklings that lead to realizations that lead to you being able to change the trajectory and the roadmap of your life in a way that's going to be a lot more conducive to what truly matters. That when you're on that deathbed of hopefully a peaceful one, you can die at peace, knowing you lived your life fully. You lived it for the things that matter. You're not leaving anything behind, that you weren't here earning material things that you can't take with you when you leave. You were earning things that you're going to have in heaven because of the way you lived your life here. It feels so important to me. And over this coming remainder of 2025, a lot of our podcast episodes and our conversations together are going to be on big picture topics like this. I myself am on a faith journey. I have been getting to know Jesus for the last 7 months. It's been an incredible journey. My life has completely changed. I really understand the term being reborn because I feel completely anew. I feel an absolutely different person in my soul. This is the person I felt like I've always wanted to be. And it took a lot of acceptance to get to this place. And part of that acceptance was accepting that I may never be famous, nor should want to reach to be famous. I instead decided that I was going to start working on my impact of where I actually am, where I actually live. I was going to quit trying to earn a space of fame online, a fake little reality that doesn't truly exist contextually in the ways that matter to us in our heart, on our deathbed, and to God. And I made it a point to try to just become well known where I live for the way that I act and behave. And that then led to really heightening and honing in on character development and making sure that my character development was really deeply seated in my morals and the way that I wanted to be known. So this is going to be a two-parter. Part one, I'm just going to break down all the ways in which you can let go of that attraction to fame and instead look inward and see how you can make a change within the world around you. Part two is going to be the tactical ways in which you can do that, paired with a 30-day challenge that is giving you week by week tasks that are going to help you along on this journey to be able to relinquish the titles of society and the things that will never matter beyond this earthly realm for a life that will lead you to ultimate, peace, joy, salvation, and a life and a legacy that you can be proud of. Now, I think we're all pretty aware that we've created a culture that worships fame, wealth, material things, and recognition, while the people that have those things, the people that have achieved those things are desperately trying to find what actually matters. We just don't see that on the camera when you're watching them on Netflix or, when they're holding the screen and talking to you. You only see, like the top 5% of their day. You see the edited, produced version of their life. What is real is them looking for what really matters, the things that money can't buy, the things that fame cannot give you access to. That was key for me. And as someone that used to literally set her alarm clock, God forgive me, for having a money date at the top of every hour of my waking day so that I could build a relationship with money so that money would come to me more. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. It was absurdity. Money was ruling my life because I needed it so badly to get out of scenarios and situations that I had put myself and my husband in. And within that time frame, all I really did was sell my attention to the distraction, to the other. And it wasn't God. And it wasn't being ushered into my reality by God because I was looking for shortcuts with the other. And I bet if you take a look at you and your day and how you spend it, there's a lot of distraction with the other for you as well. And today we're going to figure out how to get down to the bottom of it, right? Because this is a plan that has been deeply set in place by those that have much more control over what we see, what we feel, and what we do about it based on the devices of society and the ways in which we absorb the culture that is being predicated by that society. Now, what I can promise you from today's episode is that in exploring why having it all is a myth, we're going to come to find that true, genuine fulfillment in your humble, ordinary, beautiful life is the actual goal. That is the actual richness of this life. And part of the only thing that we are able to attain out of the sweetness, of suffering, there is going to come that iota of you being able to look at something and be grateful for what you have, and the warmth that it will give you, and the fulfillment that you will feel deep down to your toes in your soul cannot be paid for. It cannot show up in a 3-door Maz or a 3-seater Maz. I can't even say it right because I don't know or care. Okay. I have a 2002 Ford Ranger, my pride and joy, my baby, my sonny. So we're going to examine why success and recognition often lead to emptiness, and how to shift from seeking external validation to cultivating an inner worth, an inner knowingness, and ultimately a connection with God. I'm going to share some practical strategies for becoming known for your goodness rather than your achievements, and how to find deep satisfaction in your immediate sphere of influence, likely your community, your neighborhood, your village, your city. So the success trap, let's get down to it. Why having it all leads to having nothing of value or importance. Man, we've heard so many celebrity confessions, right? Those who have made it are actually telling us, like Ed Milet, who is worth, again, I said upwards of $500 million. He spoke so openly about the emptiness that came with achievement and the amount of work and the sacrifice that it took from his family and his health. And he realized that every goal he had reached was just revealing another goal, creating an endless cycle of dissatisfaction, all the while leading him further away with bad habits and character traits that were keeping him from bonding with his family and from prioritizing his health. Russell Brand walked away from fame, fortune, and a lifestyle that millions would envy because he discovered that external success was actually preventing him from finding internal peace. After a lifetime of being a drug addict and having many issues with being able to identify within who Russell truly was, where this pain truly came from, it ultimately led him down a path of pure destruction, taking many along with him down this path, ultimately leading him to this place of rock bottom where he did find Jesus, and since has been very much evangelizing the fact that not only is fame a trap and set by the other, it is absolutely not worth your God-given life to set forth and actively try to bring into your life for yourself. Even some like Oprah, who have built an empire around empowerment, have spent decades in therapy and self-help books trying to heal from the very drive that created her success. We can see these people, we can admire them for the things they have, but we must remember we are not with them in those quiet, dark moments where they feel the emptiness and the lack of love in their life, because they put different things on pedestals that should have been mere objects of enjoyment for brief periods of time and then given to others so they could enjoy them as well. And I'm not saying you need to have a life of poverty, chosen poverty, certainly. But there is absolutely something to be said about spreading the wealth that you do find yourself blessed to achieve. Spread it. Give it to others. Don't hoard it. You're not going to be able to take it with you when you leave here. And Jesus has said in the Beatitudes that you should look less to hoard the things that you keep here. There's no treasures on this earth that will match the treasures you can earn in heaven just simply by accepting your place in this world as one of God's children. There is also an isolation of achievement that does not really get discussed. And I think the elite high achievers of this world are often they keep their vulnerability close to the chest. Nothing like Sophie. Are you done? Sorry, y'all. But Success often disconnects us from genuine relationships. And the higher you climb the ladder of external success, the fewer people can relate to your high achieving experience. And the more isolated you become from authentic connection because you are no longer prioritizing the things that matter. You are prioritizing the material things that you have received. And it's an easy trap to fall into. We all love beautiful, opulent things, but these things are just meant to be looked at and thought they're beautiful and left, not worshiped, not made your addiction, not made your purpose for being here on this planet. Many successful people report feeling like they can't trust whether people love them for who they are or what they can provide for them. And this creates profound loneliness, even when surrounded by admirers. And there are very few people that you're going to have in your life prior to you receiving this gigantic windfall of success to where you are able to really decipher and have that discernment as to who truly wants you for you or who wants you for the fame and the accolades and the riches that you have acquired. There's also this really sneaky little psychological trap known as goalpost syndrome. And when you're achieving goals, you're not going to be able to achieve that long lasting satisfaction because of this goalpost factor. Psychologists call it the hedonistic treadmill. We adapt to each new level of success, and once one pause. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. We adapt to each new level of success, and what once felt like enough becomes the new baseline, requiring even greater achievements to feel satisfied. It is no different than a heroin addict with a needle of drugs. You will always be chasing that dragon of success. And that is going to chain you to a prison of promise within yourself of, oh, just one more achievement, 1 more million, one more award, one more movie, one more level of recognition that keeps successful people trapped in a cycle of perpetual striving for external validation that never, ever will deliver the peace that they are seeking. Oftentimes, these people that are highly successful are looking to fill an internal wound that they've deeply, deeply buried with achievement after achievement, never really taking a moment to stop and consider where the drive for this achievement truly came from. Is this drive coming from a healthy place, built on character and morals for the betterment and the good of others? Or is this a drive built off of an internal childhood wound that hasn't been addressed? Lingering trauma that leads you to choose these external validators, rather taking scope and time to figure out where the God in you is missing. It's an easy trap, again, friends, to fall into. And maybe you haven't found yourself in a success trap, but you have an inner yearning for wanting more. You want more things, a better car, a bigger house, better vacations, longer Disney trips. All of these things are beautiful to want, and they're beautiful to strive towards when you're doing so in a healthy manner. But always know you are only receiving these things because of the grace of God allowing them to happen. And maybe you're reaching these levels and these pinnacles of success because there is a lesson there that's waiting for you at the bottom of your loneliness that could only be achieved through that high level of success, and absolutely alienating yourselves from all others around you that could relate to you in a way that would allow you to open and address this wound. Maybe that drive of success within you is truly coming from a place of running away from others, being able to see you for who you really are, for the person you don't want to acknowledge within yourself. Whew, it's deep, y'all. It's deep. Now let's talk about the psychology of external validation. This is kind of the big underpinning kink to all of this. The addiction of recognition is how fame and success create a dependency on external approval within yourself. Success becomes addictive because it provides temporary hints of dopamine and validation, but like any addiction, it requires increasing amounts to achieve the same high over and over again. And the more you're receiving that external validation, the more you need it to feel worthy, to feel okay inside. Your internal sense of value becomes absolutely warped and completely dependent on outside recognition and the thoughts and feelings of others, which is absolutely not where you want to find yourself at any point in your life, let alone a place and time in your life where you're trying to find more. You're looking for fulfillment. There's also going to be moments of what I would like to think of as an identity fusion crisis. Are you capable of separating your worth from your achievements and your accolades? When your worth becomes inseparable from your actions, that's a crisis. That's an identity crisis at its core. Successful people often report feeling like they've lost themselves in their achievements, like they no longer know who they are without their titles, their wealth, or their recognition. And the question becomes, who am I without my success? And that's a terrifying question to have because they've created an entire identity that has been built around external accomplishments rather than internal worth. Often this is going to lead to a deepened comparison trap, and success is going to put you in competition with the entire world, which is not only burnout level exhausting, but will lead you to be burning the candle at both ends. When you're successful, you're no longer comparing yourself to your neighbors, your coworkers. You're comparing yourself to everyone who's achieved more, creating an impossible standard for satisfaction. And the more successful you become, the more you're aware of others who are more successful, who have more accolades, who have more money, making contentment increasingly elusive for you at any cost, having you continually searching for that next hit, that next bit of dopamine that comes from you achieving. Spiritual emptiness is material abundance. And the paradox of having everything material and feeling empty is going to lead you to want to understand why material success does not fill spiritual voids. Success can provide, every external comfort known to man while leaving the deepest human needs for meaning, connection, love, purpose, all completely unfulfilled. You will find yourself sitting in the middle of a mini mansion, quite literally wondering if your housekeeper really likes you or whether she is just kind to you for her paycheck. And that is a sad place to be. And that is something we've all chuckled at hearing a celebrity say on their Instagram or in an interview. But just think about how sad that would be. Questioning everything around you and wondering why they're there. Are they there for the right reasons? Also, similarly, you're going to find yourself just feeling a pressure that is absolutely difficult to maintain. That's going to lead to anxiety, stress, bodily stress, physical, not only decline of health, but physical discomfort in your day-to-day life. It's no way to live. No amount of money can get rid of stress or pain or anxiety, which sucks because, we would all love to be able to pay for those things to go away. But it does take you working through these things and noticing that success is absolutely disconnecting you from simple pleasures. And the pursuit of extraordinary experiences diminishes the appreciation for ordinary joy. There was a moment where Ed Milet found himself really not enjoying the sunsets from his beautiful Palm Beach mansion anymore. And that struck him as really dangerous, which led him to start looking internally as to where he went awry that he couldn't enjoy his sunset anymore. When you're accustomed to out of this world experiences or out of your world experiences, ordinary moments lose their power to bring joy, whether it's a sunset as it was for Ed Milet or a conversation with your neighbor, a quiet morning with a cup of coffee. They become not enough. The pursuit of peak experiences creates a form of spiritual inflation that makes simple pleasures feel inadequate, and it's cutting you off ultimately from the daily sources of contentment available to everyone, namely the wonders that are provided to us by God and this world that he's created for us through, the original revelation of nature and just the pure beauty of getting to hear a bird sing in the morning as the sun rises and knowing you've been blessed with another day. Now, something that was big for me to really tackle and get to thinking about was the myth of meritocracy and individual achievement. Thinking if I achieve things, if I get better at things, I'm going to deserve more. The illusion of self-made success is also something that, in understanding how much of the achievement depends on factors that are beyond your individual control, namely fate. The self-made narrative ignores that countless factors, whether it's family support, education, health, timing of the world, luck, God, that contributed to success, creating a false sense of individual superiority. You're not special, just the world came to be in that moment with God's journey to put you where you're at. And it might be for you to learn that none of what you've earned matters, and all that matters are the simple things that anybody has access to. There's also something to be said about successful people beginning to understand how much of their achievement was circumstantial, whether it be something that came to them from their lap, was inherited, but it can create guilt, imposter syndrome, and a deep questioning of their worthiness that ultimately leads to the crumbling and the failure of their drive to continue keeping up what they've been keeping up, as did happen with Ed Milet. We also have to be mindful of the cost of competitive thinking and how the mindset required for extreme success often damages not only your relationship with others, but ultimately your inner peace. The competitive, achievement-oriented mindset that drives success is often incompatible with vulnerability, compassion, presence, and connection with others on the things that truly matter. There is something to be said about prioritizing your success over the peace and well-being of others. And many successful people report, especially towards the end of their careers, having to consciously unlearn the very qualities that made them unsuccessful in order for them to find happiness and connection with not only the community around them, but their families. They sacrificed the relationship with their families for earthly success and wealth. Shame. I think there's also something to be said about the burden of representation. Success makes you responsible for maintaining an image rather than being authentic. It also forces you to maintain a successful image that's going to provide so much pressure upon you for you needing to not only keep close to the chest your struggles, your doubts, your vulnerabilities, but it's going to create a prison of performance where you must perform in order to be seen. And we all want to be seen. But in order to be seen as a successful person, you must become a brand, a representation of achievement, of wealth, of success, which is going to lead to your authentic self being seen. Never. It's quite impossible. Very few have achieved it. And I would almost guess that these people are still mimicking a characterization of who they think they really are rather than who they really are. There's also something to be said about the science and spirituality of a humble life and living humbly. The psychological benefits of accepting your place are vast, and the neuroscience of contentment and how gratitude and acceptance and what happens after to your brain and its chemistry is mind-blowing, okay? Let me take a sip because this is super important. And guys, you'll notice I'm looking up and back from notes because this is a really important conversation, and I want to make sure we hit everything right on the head. All right, so the neuroscience of contentment. Research shows that practicing gratitude and acceptance activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing cortisol and increasing serotonin, the biological foundations of contentment, happiness, and love. Studies of people who report high life satisfaction show that they share one key trait: the ability to appreciate their current circumstances rather than constantly striving for more. There's also a social connection component to this research, and it is now thought that humble living enhances your relationship quality. Research consistently shows that people who are content with their circumstances have stronger, more authentic relationships because they're not constantly trying to impress or climb social ladders with inauthenticity. The pressure to achieve and maintain status often requires behaviors, networking, image management, competitive positioning, constantly thinking about your personal brand that are antithetical to actual genuine connection with others. The flow state and presence of your life when you stop thinking about fame and start recentering it back on yourself and how you can connect with your community and what it's doing to your brain in that process is not only allowing you to accept your place, but allowing you to have a deeper engagement with your life. When you're not constantly thinking about striving for more, what you don't have, what you want, you can fully engage with what's in front of you. And this is the foundation of flow states and of present moment awareness. The research on flow states shows that optimal experiences come from full engagement with activities that match your current skill level, not from consistently reaching for achievements beyond your capacity. So we want to revel in the things that we are good at. We want to spend time in these places where we are not only able to interact with things that we enjoy doing, but are good at, but also have that room for growth slowly over time. It's not a race. It's not always a competition. We're not always looking to win the marathon here. Now, what can be said about spiritual wisdom on contentment? You've heard it through every religion you may have ever come across, right? There's ancient teachings on having enough, how spiritual traditions have always pointed towards contentment over achievement. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they are, meaning there's a lack of acceptance there, that the path to peace is accepting what is while working skillfully with circumstances. And I would say that that's an absolute beautiful character trait to take on. You don't need to be a Buddhist to bring this certain character trait into your life of being able to accept what you have in front of you and working skillfully with those circumstances towards something different or better if need be. Stoic philosophy emphasizes focusing on what's within your control while accepting what isn't. And this naturally leads to a humble, grounded approach to life, very akin to Christianity. You know, Jesus wanted you to literally work on your earnings in heaven and not have earthly treasures, things that could rust. I don't remember the quote exactly. I will pull it up and I will punch it in here at the 31-minute mark. There's also something to be said about the sacred and the ordinary and finding transcendence in everyday experiences, like taking the trash out and catching the sunrise and seeing the dew on the plants in the yard and the quiet stillness of the morning because no one's up yet, and just the simple smile on your face knowing that you are alive and you get another day that could be robbed from you if you're worried about, millions and accolades and Bitcoin and getting, to be an actress in this or that, or being picked up by this podcast network. Spiritual traditions cross cultures recognize that the divine is found in ordinary moments, a shared meal, an act of kindness, a moment of natural beauty. The pursuit of extraordinary experiences often causes us to miss the sacred that's available in every moment of ordinary life. One way that I started diving deeper into this was service as a spiritual practice, and I served nature. Contributing to others' well-being provides a deep fulfillment rather than a personal achievement. Virtually every spiritual tradition is teaching that service to others is a path to transcendence, and a transcendence from the trappings of the human mind and wanting to achieve and achieve rather than give and give. When we focus on giving rather than on getting, we naturally find fulfillment. The research on the helper's high shows that serving others actually activates the same neural pathways as meditation and prayer, providing natural access to states of peace and connection. For me, my outlet of service was nature, and every spring, along with any time I run into any type of creature, whether it be a plant or an animal that is in need of assistance, I assist. In the springtime, we have horseshoe crabs landing here. They are absolutely the oldest living creature on the planet. And they come every year and they need to be flipped over because of human-made erosion from homes being built on their beaches. So I flip them, thousands of them a year, thousands upon thousands upon thousands. It takes hours. It is my joy. And I find that not only in helping nature, I would feel the Holy Spirit enter into my body and just bring a peace and just a feeling of like a warm hug of connection over me, where I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is beautiful. And I'm working with God right now to do this. I am in service to God, to these horseshoe crabs, by being the thing that flips them over today. And they get to live to see another day and not dry out in the hot June sun. There's something to be said as well about the biology of community and local impact. And this was where I wanted to really hammer in how we could get over the trappings of longing for fame and success and working towards creating a local impact within our community. Mirror neurons and local connection are the way in which face-to-face relationships affect our neurobiology. Our mirror neurons are designed to create empathy and connection through direct personal interaction. And this is why local relationships feel more satisfying than the ones you find yourself engaging with online on social media. The biological system that creates feelings of belonging and safety are activated by consistent personal interaction with actual people who know and care about you as an individual. There's also the factor of beautiful oxytocin and trust. Building local relationships creates a sustainable well-being for not only yourself, but the community around you. And oxytocin is known as the bonding hormone. It's released through personal touch, whether it be through a handshake, a hug, even eye contact, that eye to eye, mirror to mirror, neuron to neuron, looking into the soul of one another, sharing activities, all the more available to you in a local community rather in the distant success of online fame. The neurochemical foundation of trust and belonging does require ongoing personal interaction. You need to actually be meeting with people day in and day out. And it's truly impossible to achieve through fame or through distant social interaction like an app. When I lived in Philadelphia, I lived by myself for a number of years, and the community that I built around myself simply came from me just walking through the blocks and stopping into all of the business owners, introducing myself, and every day I'd come in and say hello and see how they were. If I was in a terrible mood or depressed, as I was throughout this time period of living alone, it was absolutely the boost in my arm from God that I needed to not feel so alone, to feel that connection, to know that I do have people that care about me. And although I may be in a dry season of life relationship wise at the moment, I had people that I got to interact with and make an impact on their day just simply by showing up and saying hello and giving them a quick good morning, wishing them a good day ahead, and checking back in with them the next day to see how the day was before. It's a really beautiful, simple cycle I was able to give myself, and quite literally helped me to build my PR business. And that was not at all the purpose of it, but I created a community for myself. And they wanted to get to know me, and in getting to know me, they knew who I was. And then when they knew what I did, they really enjoyed the thought of working with me for that because they knew who I was. So you never know what comes out of building your community, but one thing you can be sure of is the bonding hormone of oxytocin that is going to leave you feeling lighter than air and more connected to your neighbors and your community, as well as God, than ever before. Our collective nervous system regulation is really genuinely immediately affected by our community and the health of our community around us. Being genuinely needed by people who know you personally creates a form of nervous system regulation that fame and success will never be able to provide to you. And the sense of being irreplaceable to your immediate sphere, whether that be as a parent, a child, a neighbor, a coworker, it just provides a form of security and meaning that external achievement cannot match. Now, let's dive into the beauty of local influence and being known for goodness rather than fame online. We have to think about redefining our success and recognition and what that means to us. And the power of being known personally rather than being known digitally or through fame really differs. Local recognition and being known by a name at a local coffee shop, being the person neighbors call when they need help, being remembered for your kindness. This is a recognition that nourishes the soul. And although it may feel cool to have 1 million followers on Instagram or TikTok, and everyone knows what your dog's dinner time is, and you figured out a way to sell these hair ties that have like really cool little zippers in them for you to put like money during your run or something, like, who cares? You're not making the world a better place, friend. You're alone. You're selling crap that doesn't matter. You're selling the narrative that you're okay when you're not. You're furthering the lie that success is what everyone should chase for, that fame is the God that they need to be worshiping. All of it inaccurate. All propped up off of the lie that these people sell themselves, that they have everything they need, that they are fulfilled, that another million's going to make them even happier than they already are. These lies are propping up a system and a society of culture that we find ourselves all very deeply immersed in, some of us prisoners too, because we've lost the plot, y'all. Fame, it ain't it. I haven't met one celebrity that loves their life truly. I haven't met one celebrity or influencer that has got their shit together inside. They act like they do. It's important to them that you think they do. Their biggest fear in life is being found out as a fraud because they're not living their real life out loud for you to see. They're mimicking what they know you want. So let's flip the script for everyone. Let's get rid of this lie. Let's bust these fallacies up. Fame is from the other. Fame is a trap. Fame is not real. Sophie agrees. Now, in redefining success and recognition and kind of coming to understand the power of being known personally, you'll come to see that local recognition is based on who you are as an actual person, not your accolades, not what you've achieved, and creating a sustainable sense of worth that doesn't depend on you maintaining a performance. It just depends on you being yourself, your good, kind, sweet self to others. Let's take a sip and cheers to that. So, what is the ripple effect of local goodness? Small acts of kindness create rippling circles of effect and impact. Let me go get this little girl, y'all. So sorry. We are back after a brief intermission of getting Sophie away from the window. So, what is the ripple effect of local goodness? How can your small acts of kindness create expanding circles of impact within your community? When you're known for your goodness in an immediate sphere or within your community or village or wherever, you create ripples that extend far beyond what you can see, whether it's you creating almost like a multiplication of kindness over time. Like it's like the butterfly effect, like that movie with Ashton Kutcher, if you've ever seen it. There are ways that your kindness is going to go beyond you. Let's say, take for example, I have an 83-year-old neighbor, and he and his wife are 83 and 85. And often I will go down to walk my dog past their house, and one of them will catch me. Sara. And I'm like, oh, hi, Mr. Bailey. Hi, Miss Bailey. Can you come in here and help me put this here? Can you pick this up? Can you come take this piece of wood and drag it to the porch? Like all the things, right? Because they're in their 80s and they look at me and they're like, hey, you, spring chicken, you're nice. Come here. Help us. I can't pick this up. It's in my way. It's ruining my day. And I do it. It takes me milliseconds. And I help them out, and then I go on my way. And because of that first time of me helping them out, which started, when I was a little kid, doing the chores under the house they didn't want to do, collecting rocks to put under their house for their foundation. They learned over time that I'm a person that's willing to stop my day if I can to help someone. And over time, that's led to them not feeling so alone as 80-year-olds on a street that's quite vacant 7 months out of the year. They feel very comfortable asking me or my husband for help. If there were ever an emergency, I know they would call us and we would run our butts down there to help them with whatever they needed. But that wouldn't have happened and that connection wouldn't have been there if we wouldn't have given them that first opportunity of kindness to say, like, oh my gosh, of course, it would be my pleasure to help you. And if you need any help in the future, don't hesitate to ask. That takes you nothing. It costs you nothing. Not only do I bring them peace because I'm helping them to do things that they can't do themselves, it's also bringing their children peace, their adult children that live further away and can't always be around to help their parents. They're worried about them picking up heavy things. They're worried about them, moving something they shouldn't be or getting locked out of their Roku for weeks on end until they can come visit them again. Like, it's the little things that you can do to help someone that go far beyond that person you helped. Maybe it's their family and them just receiving the kindness via their parent that you gave to them, being like, oh man, thank you. Like, there are good people in the world that will help others. Like, you just never know where that's going to stop. And then in turn, you may inspire them. The child, may feel inspired to help someone around them that doesn't have their kids around to help. It's just a really beautiful cyclical scenario you can find yourself in when you let kindness lead the way and when you allow others to begin to not rely in a dependent manner, but rely on with discretion in the frequency with which they ask you for help. They just know that if they ask, it's because they need some real help and you're going to be the person that's going to help. There's something to be said for quality over quantity in relationships. And the difference between having many followers online and having deep connections is pretty significant. Having 100,000 people online that know what you post every day versus having 5 people that know you very deeply and intimately and know your heart is the true richness of life. We want to amplify the amount of people that know our true heart and soul and know what we're after and know what our purpose here is and know how we like to serve God as, someone on the planet that is here to help. There's also the depth of connection that you find available in local relationships, real relationships with real people, is providing you with a sense of belonging that is just truly impossible to achieve via witnessing a number on your screen increase. The difference between the amount of physical hugs you feel from 1 follower or 1,000,000 followers is the same. You feel no hug. You feel nothing. It's a number. It's a value and a worth you've allowed to mean more in your head than the people in your community and how well they know you and how well you know them and how well you all serve one another within your community. So how do we go about building your reputation for goodness? This is a slow build of trust, right? We don't want to love bomb people after being decidedly quiet for some time because we weren't engaged in our community. Consistency in small things creates profound local impact. It's 1% change a day, right? One interaction a day with a neighbor and then increase it to another neighbor a different day. And then, maybe you're helping your elderly neighbor take in their trash, or maybe you're asking them the night before if they need help taking it out. It's the little things. Thinking about others before yourself every now and again won't kill you. It, in fact, will make you feel wonderful. The person who's known for their integrity, their kindness, their reliability in their immediate sphere has achieved something more valuable than fame or fortune. They have achieved respect. Treating everyone with respect regardless of their status, being known for keeping your word, showing up consistently. These are all ways in which you can build trust slowly over time with your immediate sphere of influence. You want to be the person people turn to, right? But not in a Captain Save-A-Home manner and not in a self-depreciating way. It has to all do things in balance, right? So how do we become a trusted presence in our community? First, again, we're looking to grow 1% a day in solid trust through interactions, but we can also focus on being the person who listens without judgment, who helps without being asked, who remembers what matters to others. This creates irreplaceable value. Maybe you remember that your neighbor's husband passed away last Christmas, and this is going to be her first or second Christmas without him. So you ask her if she'd like to come with you and your family to pick out her Christmas tree, and you'd be happy to throw it in the back of your truck and set it up for her. So she's not without a Christmas tree on her first Christmas without her husband. It's the little things. Yeah, is it a little bit of an inconvenience? Maybe. Is there going to be weird small talk in the car? Of course. But think of the genuine joy you can bring someone by just thinking of them without them asking to be thought of. What does that feel like for you when someone thinks of you out of the blue, especially someone you don't really know that well? It feels like magic. It feels like God has entered the room and went, zink, and he has, and he did. And you can be a conduit like that. How beautiful is that? How beautiful of a way to be used by God to help others see the beauty in others and in this existence, just by being kind, just by being yourself. It's amazing. The art of showing up is super important. Consistent presence creates lasting impact. The person who shows up to the school play, the community meeting, the neighbor's birthday party, even when it's inconvenient, becomes woven into the fabric of people's lives. Again, not a disservice to you in its inconvenience, just simply a mere inconvenience, as the same it would be for you asking your neighbor if she'd like to pile into the truck with you, and you'll put her Christmas tree in the back of the truck because you're going to get yours, right? Like, is it hurting you? No. Could it be a slight inconvenience? Maybe. But like, do it. It's amazing. Get over it. Presence is the foundation of influence. If you want to be someone creating a lasting impact in your community, you have to create presence. You have to be seen. You have to be known. You have to be there. You have to be the person that people know is routinely doing said things that you wish to be known for. Being physically and emotionally available when people need you also creates that physical bond that distant achievements are not able to create. So how do we go about creating value through character? This was a big one for me when I realized that fame and fortune would be nice, and I'm certainly not asking to be poor. I very much wish to acquire wealth so that I can do great things with it and give and give and give and give. But it took a moment of me recognizing that it might be more important for me to work on my character than it is for me to work on my personal brand. Integrity can be just as influential, if not more influential, than your personal brand. And to those who know what really matters in life, your integrity absolutely is going to be more important than your personal brand. Being trustworthy creates long-lasting impact, not only with those around you, but in yourself. And trusting yourself and the boundaries and the standards that you set for yourself and meeting them time and time and time again, then being able to provide that same level of consistency to others through your giving and through your kindness. Whew, that's some God stuff right there. When your word is your bond, people know that they can count on you. And there's nothing more important in a community structure than having trust and reliability amongst each other. People want to know that you do the right thing even when no one is looking. We all want those people as our neighbors, as we want that to be who we are as well. You very quickly will become a pillar in your community. And this integrity that you put out there creates a form of influence that doesn't depend upon achievement or recognition. It simply draws people to you because they trust you. Kindness is also a certain kind of leadership in a way, and compassion creates natural authority because the person that's known for their kindness naturally becomes someone that others are seeking out for advice, support, guidance. And this is a leadership based on character rather than on position. And that is something you would absolutely not only want to provide to your community, but have be a part of your community at the core. Many people like that within a community creates a strong and healthy community. Kindness creates a gravitational pull that draws people in and makes them want to be better versions of themselves as well. So this is another way in which you just becoming a better person, sharing that with your community creates a butterfly effect, an influence of sorts that just is continually perpetuating the positive growth of kindness, working with one another, having that sweet camaraderie, that beautiful leadership together at the core of your community is priceless and absolutely beats out any measure of success you could fathom when it comes down to what really matters. Generosity as abundance and learning to give freely creates sustainable fulfillment within yourself. This was a gift that I was really excited about when I kind of first fell upon it. Being generous is abundancy. Being generous with your kindness, being generous with your heart, being generous with your friendship is abundancy. And you may not have a penny to share, but you have love to give. And that generosity of sharing that love that you have inside is absolutely a beautiful way to become well known within the community and the sphere of influence around you. Giving freely creates sustainable fulfillment, not only within yourself, but when you're known for your generosity with your time, your attention, your resources, your care, your skill sets, your purpose, you create a sense of abundance that material success cannot provide for others. And the person who gives freely creates a form of wealth that doesn't depend on accumulation. It's a wealth of knowing that you've made a difference, and that inspires others who may also have materially nothing to give generously within their abilities, within their means of time, love, attention, skill sets, purpose, that is going to just keep ripple affecting out just joy and abundance and growth and gratitude and generosity, and creating a true sphere of influence that fame could never achieve, ever. The sustainability of local impact is not only a renewable satisfaction, right? We are able to continually build and build and build and build and build within our communities with kindness and love and attention and presence. But local relationships provide ongoing fulfillment in a way that online achievements or fiscal achievements or material successes could never replicate. Unlike achievements which provide temporary satisfaction, relationships provide renewable sources of joy, meaning, fulfillment, love that grow stronger over time. And the satisfaction of being loved and needed by people who you know personally is sustainable in ways that external recognition is not. External recognition is fleeting. You must continually be rising, putting yourself out there, continually being bigger you, rather than just being loved for who you are, for who people know you to be, because you've always been who you are. You're very solid in how you interact with others, and you allow your kindness and your generosity to speak for you. You don't need to convince people of who you are when you allow kindness to be your calling card. There is also the aspect of legacy through relationship building. Local influence creates a lasting impact. There's the teacher that influenced you, the neighbor that helped your family, the friend that was there during difficult times. These people create legacy through a relationship that outlasts any achievement. It's really one of the greatest gifts of moving back into my childhood home for me. And I'm always outside, continually taking this little barking Betty for walks all over the place, Sophie. And gosh, every now and then I am blessed with a complete stranger stopping, seeing me outside, and saying, "Are you Kurt's daughter?" And he's been gone 6 years now. And I say, "Yes." Surprised, totally out of the blue. Such a blessing to hear his name come out of someone's mouth, especially a stranger. It feels like such a gift. And then they'll say, "Oh, your dad was one of the coolest people I ever met." Sophie, ruining the moment. Sorry about that, y'all. We have someone getting their home power washed, and Sophie is none too pleased. So as I was saying, complete strangers will pull over and say, "Oh, Kurt was the coolest guy ever. I love what he did to the house. We watched him build it over 20 years. He was so cool. He never complained. He was always so happy. Da, 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 da." And my dad, being my dad, was just always out in the yard working on something, cutting some wood, working on his motorcycle. He would chit-chat to people. If you're new here, he had cancer for 25 years and was very ill the entire time and just busted through every expectation of medically what was possible. And His legacy was just being a cool dude that loved having a conversation outside. Was grateful for every day he got. And that struck these people so deeply that they felt the need to pull over and tell me how cool he was and that he impacted their life just by being himself. And thank God for that legacy he left, because it's gifts to me. And when I get to speak to those people, it's like he's in the room. I truly thank God for those moments. They're just like little sprinkles of remembering, yeah, my dad did have a really big impact. And he was kind. He wasn't a saint, but he was a cool dude. And people really respected him for just how hard he fought every day and how hard he worked every day. And we want to leave a legacy like that. We want others to be inspired to live a better life. And although up until his final days, my dad did not live with God in mind, he was a good person. And ultimately, he just wanted to make the world around him a better place. He wanted to leave it better than he found it. And I think that's all of us can ask of ourselves. I want to talk a little bit about the compound effect of goodness before we wrap up this episode. Part 2 will be coming at you on Sunday. And that one is going to be full of 4 weeks worth of tackling the beast of fame addiction and working on a humble life, a fulfilling, beautiful life based in your purpose and not your external value. How does consistent kindness create exponential impact? Every act of kindness, every moment of genuine care, every instance of freely given love creates compound returns in the form of trust and positive influence. And the person who's consistently good to others creates a network of goodwill that supports them, not only in their community, but everyone that they interact with. And that ripple effect that does happen over time, compounding and compounding and compounding. Now, what can be said about wanting to not only make an impact in your community with kindness, but help those around you to also strive for that? Guess what? You don't need to do anything but be yourself. It's that simple. You quite literally being yourself, especially if, putting others first is something new to you, they're going to see it. They're going to see the change in you. They're going to absolutely be noticing something's different about you. And when they see that this change in you sticks around, you're going to inspire them to want to do the same. It's a natural just thing about humans hanging out with other humans. So don't worry too much about the influence factor. It's going to happen. People are going to sense the change in you. It's going to inspire them, and it's going to lead them to want to find the places within themselves that they can lead a more humble life and worry less about society and culture and what's asked of them to achieve and to make more of a local impact. Now, we've reached the end of part 1. Part 2, you're going to tune in on Sunday 4. Again, there's going to be a 30-day challenge complete with steps of what you can do to break the addiction of fame and success and work towards a more humble and fulfilling life. And man, I'm so glad we're on this journey together. Thank you so much. If this is something that you've been thinking about for a while, please drop a comment either in Spotify or YouTube. It would bring me joy to know that I'm not the only cuckoo bird out here on this journey. Also, if this has been helpful for you or any episode that I've posted, it would sure mean a lot to me to know. And it would also mean a lot to me if you could subscribe, whether it be on Spotify or YouTube, and share this episode with someone that you love that you think might need it. Means the absolute world to me to have your time and attention, my Richies. And as always, make life rich. God bless.